you will switch to the first scene or to the last scene, whichever you prefer, and then make sure in the audio mixer the mic box is unmuted and you're ready to go. Okay?
I think so.
I'll be back in 1 minute.
Yep, take your time. Okay, should I just go?
So now we're live. Okay, and now I want you to go to the first scene. So, but know that people will be able to see you once you click on it. Okay. So what you can do, for example, you can unmute your microphone because I see only one watching now. So feel free to do that. It's only me. Mm-hmm. So you can go to the second scene. That's only your camera. Click on it, and you can start.
Test. Let me know if you hear it. Test. Can you hear it, Bobin? Test. Anything? Yep, test.
The thing is,
it's just late.
If you have it open somewhere in the background, just make sure to not have the live stream opened.
Oh,
yeah, everything's fine on the live stream, but I can see a bit of lag.
Yeah.
Not a big lag, but I can see a bit of lag.
Is that going to impact anything?
Sorry?
Is that going to impact anything? The user won't see a lag, though.
They will. I'm watching the live stream right now, and I think they will see some kind of lag.
All right, so how do we change that?
We cannot change it because I think you have to because this is like the lowest resolution you can go. That's why Macs are not good for streaming. This is the lowest resolution and lowest bitrate we can go with. Problem. That was actually what I was concerned about.
Is it that bad?
Not bad, but for example, if you move, actually now it's getting better. Can you move? Can you wave at the camera? Yeah, now it's fine. Now it's fine.
Okay.
You can go to another scene, and you will watch after. But actually, you can open it yourself. Yeah, actually, it's fine now. It's better.
What happens if I boosted the bit?
It's not optimal.
What if I lowered the bit rate?
The thing is, we cannot lower the bitrate right now because we're live, and if we stop the live stream, we'll have to create a whole new live stream with new link, with new everything.
Got it. So next is, oh wow, that's delayed. How do I? How do I get into position so the screens are ready between me and Cece in my presentation?
So you just click on the last scene that we have. You unmute your microphone, which I think is already unmuted, and you're ready to go. You can move to the first scene that says waiting, so people can stop hearing and watching us.
Do I just go to one-on-one plus screen share, right?
Yeah, you just go to that scene and you're ready to go with her and the share screen. And you just make sure to open the presentation.
Okay. Maybe I'm going to get out of our...
Oh, Jill is connected.
What's that?
Jill is connected.
Awesome. So, Cece... How will I hear Cece?
Yeah, Cece's camera and audio are fine. No lagging. Yours is a bit lagging. Actually, everything's fine now for some reason.
Should I? So we're gonna stay in this club room. Now it's starting.
You have to stay in this club room so you can hear and see her.
Oh, good. Okay, and I'm gonna keep.
Okay, just open the presentation, and we're ready to go.
All right. Can you see the presentation?
Give me 5 seconds because there's a bit of delay.
Okay. Hopefully the delay
isn't... You can just go to the waiting scene now. You can go to the waiting scene and you can mute the microphone in audio mixer, and at 3 p.m. you can just start talking.
I'll just hang here.
Switch,
Is it okay if I
just switch to the last scene, 1+1 share, and you can.
Can I just hang in this scene? Just
Yeah, you can. It's all
yeah.
good. Then I'll just stop my microphone because people on the live stream can hear.
Perfect. Okay.
If you need something, just write in the chat.
Sounds good. Hopefully this works out. And
it's the first year you'll get used to it. Just make sure to open the presentation behind.
I think I did,
and,
yeah.
Then you're ready.
Okay. CC.
Don't see Ben on my screen.
Yeah, neither do I. I think that's when he stopped sharing the screen. His camera is gone. So I thought it's my internet, but it's not that.
Oh, shoot. How do I get my camera back on?
No, we can hear you, but we just cannot see you.
Is it, what about on YouTube?
It might be because you're using the camera on OBS.
As long as it's streaming right now on YouTube, right?
Yes, it's streaming on YouTube, yes.
Oh, this is confusing. All right, well.
My job is confusing, I told you.
I think we're good, and
yeah, it's the first stream, so that will improve. It will get easier and easier.
It'll get easier and easier. Yeah. Okay, well, let's just hang tight for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'll be in the chat for like the next 10-15 minutes. You can, if you want, you can just start the whole topic.
I do not see your screen being shared, Ben.
Shoot.
Yeah, we not see your screen being shared.
Thank you.
There, thanks.
Okay, that would have been challenging.
Yeah, I was kind of, okay, I need to go to YouTube to see what he's sharing, because if not... Perfect.
Awesome. All right, we'll give it a couple minutes. Hold on 1 second. Jill's in the other room. I want to see where she is. I think we're all set. You can just watch it out there. If there's a little delay, I'm curious how that's going to impact. Well, we'll do the best we can. Awesome. Great, we're just hanging tight for a little bit. We'll kick things off in about 1 minute on our product feed optimization. We have Cece. Cece, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Yeah. Great. We have a few people just joining in. Yeah, we're just going to wait a couple more minutes. We don't want anyone to miss out on some of this content. A couple people saying, hey, what's up, Rob? Hey, Jill. So yeah, we'll just hang tight just for a few more minutes. Got 9 people just joining. Super excited to chat all things product feed optimization. Excellent. We'll give it 30 more seconds, then we'll kick off, and if people show up late, then so be it. Excellent. Cool. A few people joining. Awesome. Super timely with holidays. So yeah, let's get this started. So product feed optimization. This is a webinar that is insanely timely given holiday season is upon us. And for any e-commerce retailer, oh, sorry. Let's switch screens. There we go. Awesome. So let's get into Cece. Does it look good on your end? Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, I'm good.
Switching screens a little bit. Yeah, so let's get into it. So product feed optimization. So this is a topic that cannot be stressed enough, especially with holiday season coming up. And it can really make or break a holiday season for a retailer. So we wanted to put together some super valuable content for all the e-commerce retailers out there on how to optimize your product feed to drive incremental traffic and sales. So my name is Ben Lund. I'm the founder of Rise Marketing Group. I've been in the advertising space since 2005. Worked at companies like Yahoo. Before people Googled stuff, they actually Yahoo'd stuff. And then I was at ad agencies for a while, then Google in Cambridge, Massachusetts, before I founded Rise about 5 years ago. And super delighted to have Cece join us, who is our director of ecom. Cece, do you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Cece, director of Ecommerce at Rise. I'm actually from Argentina, but I moved into the US a couple of years ago. I've been working in advertising 15 years. That's a lot. Yeah, I look young, but I'm not that young. Working on different agencies, helping different types of e-com to scale and grow, doing all things advertising.
Awesome. And all things advertising, she specifically focuses on e-commerce. So super excited that Cece's going to share a sliver of her knowledge, which for most people, including myself, is a ton. But let's jump right into it. So the agenda for today, we're going to jump into what is feed optimization. Sounds super complex. What is it? 2, why product feed needs to be optimized to drive more sales. That can't be understated enough. And then 3, we're going to get into specifically how to optimize with things that you can actually take out of this deck and out of this presentation and apply for yourself. And of course, if you need some expert help, we can have a conversation as well. So I got to ask, so Cece, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is feed optimization?
Well, I would ask you from a scale to 1, from 1 to 10, how important it is for you to have a keyword list optimized to run Google search ads?
Insanely important. The keyword for search ads, the keyword is the most important element. If you have a bad keyword matching to bad intent, you're going to get garbage traffic. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's a 10 out of 10.
That's your answer, yeah. That's a 10.
It's a
10 of relevancy, yeah. It's the same thing. If you don't have an optimized keyword list for Google search, it won't work. If you don't have an optimized feed for search for shopping campaigns or PMAX campaigns, it won't work.
Awesome. Yep. Definitely hear you on that. So what is feed optimization? So feed optimization really when you boil it down, it's just structured data, structured product data that you're giving to Google so that way it can match your products to users. Now, Cece, I got to ask you, Google is smart. And I mean, it's obviously proven because it indexes the world pretty much. Do we even need this? Because can't Google just look at a product and be like, oh, I know everything about this product and match it to the user?
Google is smart, but not that smart. It still needs your inputs, your signals, and there are some attributes that Google can't understand, at least not yet. And for example, I have been running, have been optimizing feeds for different accounts, and sometimes you find some odd things, like for example, a bottle of water, Google is categorizing it as a toy. So it still needs help to understand really what your product is, what your audience target is. And with feed optimizations, you can guide and give Google the correct signals.
Yep.
That's how important it is.
I agree on that. And why don't you just kind of walk us through maybe some of the product feed optimization that just kind of gives Google a little bit more insight into understanding about these products that maybe you would have a hard time understanding?
You have the basics, principle, the main ones, the title, descriptions, but also you have price, shipping, categorizations of categories, product type. You can also have start adding some attributes like age, gender, color. There are a lot of different attributes you can add to help Google understand what your product is. Again, it's not the same to say I'm selling a shoe than saying I'm selling a shoe for women or for these about like it's a brown shoe, not a black shoe. So there are lots of things that you can add to that specific item for Google to understand and then match to a specific search query from a user and show the most relevant item for that user. So you have price, keywords, categories, image, product details, promotion, reviews. There's a lot, and we are going to cover those then.
Awesome. I know it's a lot. And within this presentation, we're actually going to prioritize a couple of these because, yes, you can probably optimize by 20 or 30 different attributes, but we're going to boil it down and really prioritize some of these things. And then for advanced marketers, which Cece and our team is definitely in that camp of as they manage e-commerce products, they'll even do some A/B split testing on testing different categories and subcategories just to see how that matches to users. So, yeah, thanks for sharing these. This is definitely some of the top ones. And it's important to share that in this optimizing product feeds is, yes, it's pretty much critical for advertising on Google. But also, you're going to get free traffic from this. So a couple years ago, and Cece, you probably remember this. When did Google start rolling out some free product listings? Was it like 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, I would say 3 years ago. And you could start seeing how these optimizations had an impact because you not only see traffic coming from free listings, we are also seeing sales. And that's huge.
Yeah, and this was a big play because Google for the longest time has been a pay-per-play company. But, strategically, they're probably thinking of like, well, who's our number one competitor for e-commerce? And well, that's Amazon. Amazon has a lot of organic free listings. So if Google wants to provide a great user experience, which they usually try to hit first and foremost, all their products, they can't just be ads. They have to vary it up with just organic products as well. So this is a really fun thing that Google rolled out. So anyone watching this, even if you just optimize your feed and you're not even going to advertise, you're going to get traffic and you're going to get sales. That's just what happens by nature of it. And then just to take this one step further, there's other platforms out there that can use an optimized product feed. Cece, I know I'm deviating just slightly, but do you want to talk about that for a second?
Other channels and platforms that we can use, for example, Microsoft Bing. We are using the feed on Microsoft Bing. We are using feed optimizations on Google, or on Meta for the Instagram shop. I mean, everywhere you can upload your catalog, feed optimization is going to help you find your audience target, and your users are going to be able to find you across all of the channels. Not only Google, but also social media, Bing, everything.
Yeah. So yeah, super critical, and you're going to get some free traffic. And so let's just talk for a second. So we know that Google crawlers are good, but they're not perfect. Let's go into a couple more attributes. Like, what else can't Google just get from looking at a website and making up its own product feed, which Google has tried to do a few times, but just hasn't seemed to work that well. But let's talk about that, Cece, if you don't mind sharing.
Of course. I mean, if you are, for example, selling shoes, Google might understand that you're selling shoes, but they don't know if it's for women, for men, for kids. They don't know if it's a safety shoe or what type of shoe, or waterproof, or maybe leather or different type of fabric. There are lots of things that Google doesn't know, and that's why you need to add those attributes to your feed so that Google understands. And if Google understands, then Google knows when to show your item and to whom to show your specific product.
Yeah. And it's super critical because if you're advertising and let's say you don't have an optimized feed that has inventory, and let's say it's holiday and you're cruising through inventory, there could be cases where you're just advertising inventory that you can't even sell, and you're just paying for all this traffic.
Well, there's things, for example, there are also some things like labels like in stock or out of stock. Google now crawls your e-com website and knows when you don't have something in stock or out of stock. But it had happened with different of our accounts that sometimes Google just misreads the signals and thinks that something is out of stock when it really is on stock. So you have to be super careful with that. There are some automatic things that you can do on Merchant Center, for example, but they are not 100% accurate. So you always want to check on your feed and what Google is understanding from or reading from your website. I mean, shipping is one, out of stock or availability is another one. There are lots of things you need to be really careful.
Yep, absolutely. And as we're going through this, if anyone has questions on the chat, feel free to respond while Cece and I are chatting. I'm sure someone on our team will be able to respond. So don't hesitate with sending over some of these questions. So we talked a little bit about advertising, but Cece, tell me how important it is to have an optimized feed specifically for advertising, and we can focus on Google for a second.
I would say that I wouldn't launch a campaign, a shopping campaign or a PMAX campaign, if I do not have a feed optimized. Why? Because it would be just throwing money away. It's the same as optimizing a keyword list for search ads. Exactly the same. You need to think about that. What's the first thing you do when you're going to launch a search campaign? You think about the keyword list. You think how to optimize that. So what's the first thing you need to think about when launching a shopping campaign or a PMAX campaign is optimizing your feed. Why? Because you're going with the titles, descriptions, category, product type, all of those inputs and signals are going to help Google understand what your product is. And the thing is, if you do not have a feed optimized and you're giving Google the incorrect data, Google might start learning things that are not even helpful for you. So then what you will have to do is force Google to relearn to understand what your product actually is. So you would be spending money not helping Google understand what your product is, and then you will have to undo what you have done, spending more money to help Google actually understand what your product is. So it's kind of the most important thing if you're going to launch a shopping campaign or a PMAX campaign.
Yep. And we see it all the time. We have clients that come over to us that they've been potentially advertising for a year or years with a pretty subpar feed, and even just clean up the feed, all things stay the same. We generally see some pretty substantial jumps. So anyone who's listening, if you have a product feed, don't advertise unless that puppy is optimized. And then another fun tidbit on feed optimization, outside of just making sure Google is aware of all the nuances of each product and attribute, you're going to stand out from your competition, and you can upload what makes your products, your store, unique, because it is a very competitive landscape in retail. And as you're showing below the search bar on Google, you want to have your products stick out from the rest. So there's a ton of different attributes that you can add, such as price, appealing images, copy, promotions, ratings, reviews. Cece, are there any that are your kind of go-to to kind of stand out from the competition a bit?
I usually add to the titles attributes, unique attributes from your brand. Because if you think about it, when you start looking for something, I don't know, I'm looking for a coffee mug, and there are lots of coffee mugs everywhere. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to Google coffee mug, and I'm going to see a lot of different brands promoting the same mug, different color maybe. So I need to think about what's going to trigger, like, how can I capture the attention of that user that's looking for something, and it has a lot of options. So I need to make sure that in the title, I add some benefits, unique benefits from that specific mug. Or even, for example, if you can add free shipping, or maybe you have a promotion, a sale, something, just think about what will stand out from all of your competitors. You're going to be showing one card, and your card, your shopping item card, is going to be next to the other one and to 5 more. So what's what's going to make the difference? What can capture the attention of the user? Attributes, sale, shipping promos, and that kind of things are the most important ones.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And especially if you're reselling products, there's going to be a dozen stores selling the same thing. So why buy from you versus others? And if the product is not unique, what it is about your store that sets yourself apart from the others, and maybe it just comes down to price. Maybe you have a promotion, maybe you have free shipping, maybe overnight, whatever it might be. At the end of the day, you're marketing. You have to put your marketing hat on and just understand why should they buy from you and not your competitors.
Even the store reviews, sometimes you can add the stars, the different rankings. If I have the exact same product for the exact same price and I see that one has 3 stars and the other one has 5, I would just choose the 5 stars, of
Yeah.
course. So those things make the difference.
Yep, all the difference. Yeah, especially if you celebrate Christmas or whatever holiday that you're celebrating, and you're like me, you're a last minute shopper and you're started shopping the week of the holiday. And if you're buying something online, you want to make sure they have 5 stars and they're actually going to get that product out to you, so you're not going to disappoint your family and loved ones. But yeah, that definitely helps out. So let's move on. I know Missy asked a question. We'll get to that just in a second. So, all right. So we know that feed optimization is important. Now, how do we go about doing this? Let's Cece, do you mind just kind of walking through high level? I know we're going to get into some in a little bit more detail. Like, what should we do from here? Like, we're sold, got it. Feed optimization, everyone should be doing it. And if you're not, pause those campaigns. Where do we start from here?
But to do feed optimization, well, first of all, you need a Google Merchant Center account. That's the where this magic happens is in Google Merchant Center account. But you can also work with feed optimization platforms to help you if you have for example, if you have 2,000 items. Doing it manually, it's a lot, and some platforms will help you do it with some rules. If you have just 5 items, it's easier to just do it through Google Merchant Center. But the things that you are going to be working on are titles, descriptions, product type, Google category, the images, age group, color, even the reviews, ratings, labels. There's a lot. And when we refer to product segmentation, it's because you can actually select the gender and the age group of that specific item. Why that's helpful? Because Google understands if one item is for a woman, a kid, man. Even you can choose the size of a shoe, for example, or the size of a t-shirt. So it's different if someone is looking for a size 9 than a size 3. So you can work with a lot of things.
A lot of things. And we're going to prioritize a couple of these. So just to go a little bit deeper, we're not going to cover every attribute because otherwise this is going to be a 24-hour live stream and we're going to go deep dive into everyone. But for the sake of everyone's time, we're going to just dive deeper into some of the most important attributes. One of which, Cece, that you bubbled up that you definitely want to start off first is the Google category. Why don't you chat about that for a second?
Google category, we talked about how Google crawls and understands with machine learning, understands your item, but sometimes it's not that accurate, and you do have a restriction when talking about Google category because there's a Google taxonomy and there's a list of Google categories that you can apply. So sometimes it's not super accurate. What you want to do is choose the one that's the most that better describes your product. Why the Google category is so important? Because it helps Google understand what your product is. As I said, it's not, if Google understood that my bottle of water was a toy, it's going to be showing to all of those users that are looking for toys. Nobody's going to buy if they see a bottle of water, right? So I want to make sure that Google is understanding what my product is with the Google category. That's one of the biggest one.
Yeah. Yeah, super important. Just to map that to the category, it's insanely helpful. And as CC mentioned, sometimes the Google categories aren't as accurate, and you need to go a little bit deeper just to find out the right category. And CC has a lot of experience even doing some A/B split testing on different categories because one, for whatever reason, is just going to match better with user intent, and doing that split test is super helpful, especially if you do it before holiday, when it matters the most. But that's another thing that you can do.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend testing before.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
what as we said, the Google category has a specific taxonomy. There's a specific list, and sometimes you say, okay, my product doesn't go under these categories. How can you help Google with that, with the product type? So, for example, this shoe, this is not any shoe. This is a safety shoe. This is a steel toe shoe. And Google product categories, there are two that might be somehow aligned to what I'm trying to sell. There's apparel shoes, but I mean, Google might understand that it's a dress shoe, a hiking shoe, who knows? And there's business gear and work safety protective gear, but that's too broad. You can use glasses, you can use masks, you can use gloves. So it's not accurate and it doesn't represent what my product is. So what can I do? I can work with product types. So I can say Google, okay, this is a shoe, but it's not any shoe. So I can start adding some different signals. For example, this is a shoe, this is safety footwear, this is a steel toe shoe. It's not the same to say this is a steel toe shoe than this is a composite toe shoe. That's completely different. So how can we help Google understand better if we see that the Google product category is not accurate? We must work with product types. And the interesting thing about this is that you can choose not only one, but you can select two. So in this case, I can choose Google product category shoes and then go with two different product types so that Google can have more information and more data about my specific item. Curious, Ben, what Google category would you choose? Shoes or work safety protective gear?
Oh, that's really tough. Um, I would probably go work safety protective gear. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, I got that right.
Well, let me tell you, we tested. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we tested. And thank God we did this before holiday season. We tested both, and the one that's working better is shoes. At least for this brand, for this
Mm-hmm.
product, the one that's working best is shoe. And Google says that you need to, when you choose a Google category, you need to think about the one that describes better your item. And yeah, if you see this, the first thing you think is this is a shoe. So makes sense. But sometimes it's not that easy. If you do not know, you can also test. But I would highly recommend testing before holiday season. I mean, you should have started a month ago, but if not, just start now,
Mm-hmm.
and you are going to see huge changes on performance.
Absolutely, yeah. It's always good to test, but better something than nothing, really. Anything's better than nothing. Which, unfortunately, probably I would say 90% of e-commerce advertisers out there don't really look at their product feed and categorization and things like that. They just think of, oh, I got my Google Performance Max or shopping campaign and meta ads, and that's about it. But this is really the pillar of it. So, yeah, great examples of different categorization and why you should test in advance. So this is a super interesting one, which I feel like a lot of advertisers get wrong, where the title, they just let it be. They don't think about it. They just put whatever that an automated feed spits out and thinks it's good. Walk us through this example. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they just sync, for example, in their Shopify account with the Merchant Center account, and they let it be. But maybe in your website title, you're not using all of the attributes that are going to help you get the attention versus competitors, for example, or not even helping the user understand what your product is. And if you can help the user understand better what your product is before he clicks on the ad, that's going to be more relevant for him. And it's also going to rank higher for certain Google searches. So it's not the same to promote, for example, an iPhone with just the keyword iPhone than iPhone 14 Pro Max. Why? Because if I'm a user looking for an iPhone special edition, Google could show me the first example here that says just iPhone. But it's not going to show me, or it's not likely to show me the iPhone 14 Pro Max because I have that specific keyword on my title. So it's kind of, title works to segment also the kind of search queries that are going to trigger my item. So for example, another example, if I'm selling shoes again, with the shoes again, if I'm selling shoes and I'm looking shoes for my husband, maybe I'm going to look, Google thinks that I mean, Google knows I'm a woman, that I'm searching for shoes, but I'm not searching shoes for me. I'm searching shoes for my husband. So if I only look for shoes, Google probably is going to show me women's shoes. But if I look shoes for men, it's going to start showing me shoes for men. And if I add to that title, men shoes, men boots, men whatever, I can start using those keywords as triggers. Also, size. I'm looking for size 3, not looking for size 9. So I can add those attributes. I'm looking for waterproof shoes. So if I put men shoes, waterproof, for hiking, whatever, it's going to be kind of, you need to think about the title as a keyword. It's exactly the same thing. You want to match your keyword with very relevant and specific things that the user is looking for, because if the user finds exactly what he needs, he's going to click and he's going to buy, if your landing page is optimized.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's so incredibly important. Yeah, and as you mentioned, just like having the size, because if you only sell shoe sizes ranges 9 through 13 or 3 to 6 or whatever it might be, have that in the title, because then if someone searches for size 7, size 8, size 9, I mean, most people search by that. You're not going to show up for that, and then you're not going to pay for the click and provide a really bad experience. So yes, optimize those titles. Be, as they say, specific is terrific. Be as specific as possible about that product. Users are going to see it, and if they see something in the title that doesn't match well with their search intent, they're not going to click it, and you're not going to pay that CPC. But if you are very specific and it matches the needs and the intent, they're going to click and probably have a pretty decent conversion rate as well.
Yeah, the thing is, if Google starts showing your item and no one clicks, it's going to rank lower and it's going to hurt your performance. That's another thing. It's not just like, yeah, they won't click and I won't pay. Yeah, no, it's going to hurt you anyways. And also, if you do not know what attributes you should add to your title, you can A/B test.
Yep.
You can say, okay, what's the best title? I mean, for example, in the safety shoe case, should I use men's safety shoes, men work boots, men, I know there are so many things you can add to the title. Should I choose first show the color, first show its steel toe shoe, or maybe not? So if you're not sure, you can also A/B test, as we talked about with Google categories, to see what performs better for you. It's not, there's not an answer. It's something that works for you and for your brand. Also, if you are a retailer and you have a lot of brands, maybe adding the brand also helps, if they are known brands, of course.
Yeah.
So take into account all of those things that you think that might trigger better search queries and more relevant and more specific, and that will, and you can also always A/B test. If you don't know, test. That's the key to scale your e-com performance. Test.
Test. Yep. And 14-day period, it might be testing the title. Then once you have the winning title, or maybe it takes a month, then you test the categorization, but you continue test. And then when it comes down to key buying seasons, you have a very well optimized campaign that's for scale. But even if it's during a not peak holiday, it's still going to do significantly better than any other time prior.
I want to make one comment over that.
Yep.
If you are going to test, do not test everything at the same time.
Correct.
Because if not, you're going to start getting uh, mixed signals. Maybe you're testing one product category with one title and another product category and another title. And maybe the thing that's working is the title and not the product category, and you're going to misread your data. So if you're going to test, just say, okay, this month I'm going to test categories. This month I'm going to test this kind of title. So make sure you're going not to mix the data, because if not, you're not going to understand what's really performing.
Yeah, that's true. You're just going to be doing a ton of work, and then at the end of the day, be like, oh, yeah, maybe we saw a 10% uptick. And then you'll ask, well, what was it? Was it the category or the title or other attributes? And you're like, well, I don't know. And then so you didn't really gain. You just kind of did a lot of busy work. So yes, when you want to test something, actually have a test schedule, implement the test. Even though if you want to mess with the campaign, just don't do it. Keep your hands away from it. Obviously, if performance goes down, then you want to intervene. But let it run its cycle, and then you get learnings, and then you go on to the next test and continue that cycle over and over again. Awesome. So images. This is also super high up on product feed optimization, and why? It's one of the first things a user will see. So Cece, why don't you talk a little bit about some of the best practices that you see from some of the products that generally do pretty well from an image standpoint?
Yeah, so image is the first thing you see. High quality, kind of obvious. But you want, one thing we learned is you want to keep it minimal. That's why you usually see white backgrounds showing the item. We have tested with lifestyle images, and depending on the item, depending on what you're selling, it works or it doesn't. But if you're going to go for a lifestyle image, try not to make that much noise. I mean, the interest should be in the product. You should be showing the product, not just the background. Also, avoid adding any call to actions, any stars with the promo, that kind of things. Google does not like that. And you don't want to do things that Google does not like, because that will hurt your ranking. There's a feature on Google Merchant Center that helps you optimize or automatically improve your images. That can help if you cannot go over all of your images and start optimizing them. Maybe that can help. Just make sure Google is not changing your product images. And one interesting thing that Google is going to start rolling up, it's in demo version. You're going to be able to edit your images, your product images on Merchant Center with AI. That's super awesome. So maybe you say, hey, Google, I want to show this camera in a sunny beach. I don't know why in a beach, but you want to. So Google is going to be able to edit that image and show it with a beach background. That's cool too. I mean, there's some nice things to have, and maybe if it's, for example, summer season and you have the same product image then for winter season, you might want to change some things, and that can help. But anyways, that's another thing you can A/B test. In fact, if a lifestyle image is going to work better than a white background image, that I would suggest A/B testing. Again, another A/B test to run. But usually what works better is the image that shows the product and doesn't make any noise.
Yep. Yeah, it's super interesting that I always thought it's like, oh, let's do lifestyle pick, because actually on other platforms like Meta, with actual ads, product ads, generally speaking, it seems like lifestyle and video product images or videos do the best. But when it comes to Google Shopping, clear out that background, focus in on the product, but it's not like that every time. So yes, as you mentioned, tests, and pretty cool use case for AI of just like testing. Maybe it's those workplace steel toe shoes. maybe put it in a factory setting or a
Yeah.
manufacturer setting just to see. I don't know. Worth a
That's
test.
that would be an interesting A/B test, because I mean, if you actually see that shoe, you're not that sure if that's a safety shoe or maybe a dress shoe. It's kind of,
Yep.
yeah, it could work for both, but you would. But if you use it with the background of of an industry, maybe it's more clear for the user that's not an issue, that is a it has a specific use.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of fun things that you can test on images. Landing pages. I mean, we have to talk about landing pages within this webinar because that's where the user clicks on or gets to the landing page, and then that's where you actually transact and make some money. And landing page is, since digital advertising has been around, has always been one of the top and most important factors, because if you have amazing ads with amazing product feed targeted to the right audience and everyone's clicking, but then they go to a site that is awful, nothing's going to happen. So yeah, Cece, let's chat about landing pages for a little bit.
I would say not only if it's awful, I would say if it's not coherent with what I saw in the ad. Mm-hmm. If I'm expecting to buy something, if I click on an ad expecting to see a specific product, and I click and I go to a landing page where the title is different, I mean, the color, for example, if it's something super small, but sometimes you're optimizing your titles and you say, I'm going to say multicolor, and then I go to the landing page and I see that the options of colors, there's no multicolor in the options, there's rainbow. So I would say, okay, I want the multicolor, I don't want the rainbow. It's confusing. So just try to be, if you're using some specific attributes on your title, make sure that you're going to see, the user is going to see those on the landing page. Don't mess with don't try to do any creative things on the title, just be coherent. Yeah. Also, Google does not like when the user doesn't have the best experience. UX experience for Google is one of the most important things, because they want to show relevant things to the user. Yeah, if you're showing something on an ad or on a free listing, make sure that the user is going to find what he's expecting to find.
Yeah. So it's almost like with landing page, you don't have to go above and beyond. It's almost just meeting the expectations. So if your product listing, how it was presented itself, they liked it, they clicked it, just keep it. So you don't have to just go so crazy on the landing page. You just want to be consistent. And then that ultimately is going to help out conversion rate, which in conversions, and then if you're smart, or you have an agency that's helping you out, and obviously we can help you out, you would have conversion tracking, and then that sends some really positive signals to Google, and it all turns into this awesome loop that can just continue to build upon itself.
Yeah, I think that landing page is another webinar, in fact, because UX experience and how to change the conversion rates. Landing pages have a lot to do on conversion rate, have a high impact. We're not going to talk about that in this specific webinar.
Another webinar,
would be another one. But yes, sometimes it's underestimated, the landing page, and it's the first thing that your user is going to see from your website, and he's going to make the decision to buy or not from there. So
yeah, and you can tell, like, even through analytics, are you getting good clicks? You have a great click-through rate. Does Google like your ads? But then your just conversion rate's just in the tank. Something's off there. And it's probably not due to the price point, because the price was already featured in the ad. So it's probably more of a UX or just design issue. Excellent. And then so some other growth opportunities to boost performance. Now we're going to talk about a couple things that I imagine that 99% of marketers don't talk about, but it's super important. It's using labels. So let's jump into that a little bit, Cece, if you don't mind. Yeah,
I don't know why nobody uses labels, but it's it's so helpful. It's one of the things that nobody knows, nobody uses. But for example, how can you make use of labels? If I'm going to run a shopping campaign or a PMAX campaign and I need to structure my campaign, I'm going to think about what group of products I'm going to target on each asset group or on each campaign, right? So in order to structure in a clear way, you can use labels. So for example, you can add labels of to all of your best sellers, like label 1 best sellers, or another one for if they are high profit or low profit. So I want to have two different campaigns, one for high profitability products and the other one for low profits. So the way to do that, to segment those, is adding labels. So if you can start thinking about, okay, how am I going to structure my campaign? Am I going to show all of my items on the one campaign? That's another conversation. How can you create different campaigns based on all of your products? But if you're thinking about the structure of your campaign, your labels must match that structure, because it's going to help you to just add the values to the campaign and you're not going to be changing them manually. If you start changing the campaigns every day, every week, the campaign is going to start a learning phase over and over again, and you're not going to see the scale and growth that you want, because you're changing the campaigns constantly. So the way to avoid that is adding labels and making sure those labels are accurate. Like if I'm going to add to bestsellers, make sure that the label is showing actually the bestsellers. And then you're going to ask, okay, PMAX, I want you to only target for this specific campaign bestsellers, and I don't need to be manually adding anything, because the label is going to work for me. They are going to be doing all the job for me. I'm not going to need to go into the campaign, change the products, and do it manually. So yeah, I love labels.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so many times we've seen taking over accounts that, oh, I got my shopping campaign or my PMAX, and oh, what's in it? All 500 products, including products that they're probably not even profitable on, but their advertising's like, what is going on here? Let's let's clean that up just a tad.
Yes, and that's another conversation, because sometimes I have 5,000 items and I'm in love with my 5,000
Yeah.
items, but people really buy just 100. But
Yep.
I want to promote and spend over all of my items. Okay, do you have the budget to do that?
Yeah.
But that's another conversation.
Yep. For another time. But labels, if you haven't used it, check it out. Obviously, we'd love to help you out with that. So, yeah, I think that covers up most of the main opportunities. We had some great chat questions. Looks like most of them were answered. Of those that were still on the webinar, if you do have questions, feel free just to type it in. Cece and I can talk about these live, or we can follow up via the chat. And if anyone wants to chat with us one-on-one on a consultation specifically for e-commerce, check us out. risemkg.com is our website. Cece and I would be happy to chat with you just to understand a little bit more about your e-commerce business. It's never too late for holiday season. I mean, the runway is shortening, but doing something is better than doing nothing. But I hope everyone really enjoyed this presentation. And again, reach out to us. Love to have a conversation with you. And if you do like this type of content, subscribe to it, because we will be rolling out webinars. The goal is every month. And in between webinars, we're going to be putting out a lot of really helpful and useful content, typically on a cadence of 1 to 2 times, 1 or 2 times every week or two. So follow us. And Cece, I really enjoyed having you on this. This is super helpful.
Yeah, it was nice. Thanks
Awesome.
for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll chat soon, and wishing the best holiday season for all those e-commerce marketers listening to this.